So, hey Leo, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you find it in 2026, I might add. And I just had a breathwork session, right? So, pretty intense. What I always do, 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. That's what I always recommend. And I just thought it's time to make a reading, and this reading is going to be intense. And it's probably defined by super opposites, right? The Devil and the Ace of Cups. This is going to be obviously a big picture reading. So let's do two more. That's 10 all in all. The King of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords. That's interesting. Then I need a little more context. There's the Judgment card and the Eight of Cups, right? The Eight of Cups is this wonderful energy where you're doing what you love, where you kind of... King of Pentacles can be a very down-to-earth, strict fighter, you know? Very bossy, very, you know, kind of a little toxic masculinity, not necessarily, right? So he's the King of Pentacles, very successful, wearing a crown, sitting on a throne, wearing his armor as well, right? This seems to be an approach that has ended. King of Pentacles with the Ten of Swords, there is an approach where you try to be super successful, maybe in a job, maybe in a career, whatever. This is over. What you're waking up to is the Nine of Cups, and I always compare this Nine of Cups guy to the King of Pentacles that is here on the table as well. So the Nine of Cups guy is this frequency where you just, there's divine humble pride, you're wearing good clothes, right? You have a funny hat, you're happy, right? You're doing what you love, you're loving what you're doing, you're proud of your achievements, proud of your talents, proud of that, what you love to do and what you actually are doing. Not sitting on a crown, not sitting on a throne, not wearing a crown. But you're much more in alignment with yourself, with what is important for you, which you love to do, which is an expression of your highest potential and your true inner frequency. You're waking up to this. This is the side here. And then there's toxicity. Then there's the Devil, and the Devil seems to be connected to the King of Pentacles. This might be what looks good on paper. This might be what looks good on your CV. This might be the job that pays really, really well, but all you need to do is sell your soul for it, right? So this is the King of Pentacles, which is not usually a negative card, but in this combination with the Ten of Swords and the Devil, in contrast to the other side here, which is the Judgment card, waking up from that Ten of Swords, right? Waking up from that whole approach, right? This is kind of this approach of dominion over the earth, right? Earth, Pentacles energy, right? And just trying to rule stuff, just trying to be very strict, very hyper toxic masculinity in this combination with the Devil. And this is much more flow state. This is much more yourself, being in alignment with yourself, your highest potential, that what you love to do, not so many these achievements and trying to control everything, but letting it flow. Cups energy, Ace of Cups, Nine of Cups, and being much more happy with it, right? So, okay, let's just see what else comes up. We got 6 cards down. There's the new consciousness, and you got everything you need in that new consciousness. You got the Page of Pentacles, Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups in combination shows up in 2026 all the freaking time, just like the Empress, and 2 more to clarify the whole thing. Yeah, the Emperor and the Two of Cups. So bottom of the deck, the fight is over. That's beautiful. 5 of That's the 2026 reading. 2025 was very, very hard for decent human beings, right? For empaths, because 2026 was pretty much the year of the narcissist. He was raging and rampaging, if that's the word, through the world, and really it was a tough time if you were on the more empathic, intuitive kinda side of things. But you have to befriend that side, right? There is an aspect of yourself that loves control, that loves to, kind of have everything organized. Even if you're Leo, I'm Virgo, by the way, so that speaks to me as well. But, Leo can be that bossy energy where you try to control stuff, where you try to fixate stuff, where you try to tell people what to do, and I'm the boss, and this is how it's going, and that is a very toxic aspect, not necessarily so. You need something like that, right? You need to be able to make a plan, to bring structure and organize something, right? That is not necessarily a bad thing, but you overdo it, then it takes away the joy in your life. That side is here, and you might have experienced a very toxic version of that side that was kind of disappointed, that wasn't good for yourself. You achieved something, but at what cost, right? So you were pretty much tempted to sell your soul for that success. And that ended. Finally, I think this is pretty much the story since 2008, right? Pluto in Capricorn. That is Pluto in Capricorn, my friends. That is Pluto in Capricorn. King of Pentacles with the 10 of Swords now in 2026, and the Devil connected to it. That is the toxic aspect of the Emperor, right? In combination with the Devil. And you have to make peace with that aspect of yourself and keep it in check. So there is a little Emperor in you who wants to tell people what to do and wants to take charge of things, wants to take responsibility, wants to take, order stuff and systemize stuff, and, And the next 20 years, I would say Pluto in Aquarius, that's the next 20 years. That's how big it is in 2026. There's your new consciousness. Your consciousness is primarily, you tidied up your subconsciousness, hopefully. You went down there, so to speak, into hell, into the depth of your subconsciousness. You tidied it up. You reintegrated stuff, right? There are a lot of people who stay down there because they can't handle it. They literally get eaten by their shadow and come out as that shadow. When Theseus goes into the labyrinth, right, to fight the Minotaur, that Minotaur is actually an aspect of himself. That's his shadow aspect. And if you're successful, you're not coming out as Theseus or the Minotaur, but you come out as both, a fully integrated being, right? And you can still be, when you see the yin-yang symbol, you can come out at the darker side with a lighter spot. You can come out as the lighter side with a darker spot, but fully integrated if you're successful. If you just switch sides, if you go in as Theseus, come out as the Minotaur, or go in as the Minotaur and come out as Theseus, you kind of just switched sides, but you stayed on the same level. But if you come out as a fully integrated being, then that's the awakening we're talking about. And then you got this frequency of self-love. That's a new consciousness, an integrated consciousness. And the Ace of Cups is here. Beautiful. 6, 10 cards, right. The fight is over. You got it. And now you just have to accept it and move on from it. You got everything you need, and now it's time to do what you love and just do what you love. Really, you have made a decision. There's the Three of Cups, there's the Knight of Swords. Let's just clarify the Ace of Cups. Yeah, and you don't need to worry anymore. You just have to trust, right? That's the most important thing. Page of Pentacles, not fighting, not negating the other side, but using it. And yeah, the Five of Pentacles is clearing the Ten of Swords and the King of Pentacles and the Devil, basically. So you have been through shit, that's for sure. But you're no longer hanging in there. You're no longer in the grip of that frequency. And maybe that was a job that was really, really toxic. And you were maybe making really good money, but it was completely connected to complete toxicity. Narcissistic people who push others down to give themselves the false sense of elevation, things like that, people like that, toxicity left and right. But maybe you felt like the King of Pentacles. You felt like you were checking boxes of this kind of sick society that is constantly rewarding the false behavior. Right? So you get a Mercedes, you get a house, you get a good, quote unquote, good material life. You get recognized by society as successful if you are selling your soul and, ruin entire countries and societies. Why? So your stock is going up, right? That's very, very toxic, but that's our idea of success. And that idea of success has been disappointed in the last, I would say, maybe in the last 10 years, maybe in the last 9 or 10 years, or since 2008, Pluto in Capricorn. Think about what that was. You had some kind of businessman, businesswoman phase, but you kind of were asked to sell your soul for it. To be successful, there was some sort of dark night of the soul here episode. And, you have to make peace. That is over, right? That is over. Sometimes you might think back and that was really toxic, right? You might think that's really toxic. But you woke up to a new consciousness. You woke up to a fully integrated being, You're not saying that is bad. You're just saying that is an aspect of me that was too strong in the last few years, maybe since 2008. So you're making peace with that. That's very important. You're not completely negating that. You're negating the toxic extreme of it. You can still be whatever you did, whatever you're doing, right? King of Pentacles energy, that's kind of business, that's job, that's career stuff, right? Maybe you overdid it a little bit. Maybe you tried to, enter things that were kind of toxic. Definitely over that toxicity aspect of it. But that there's the male principle, there's the Emperor here. And the Emperor is not a bad card. The Emperor is just that male rulership principle where you are able to say what is what and where you're able to speak your truth and command your will. That is not a bad thing in itself, right? But it can be toxic if you overvalue it, if you focus too much on it. That might have happened since 2008. And it's over. That one-sidedness is over. And then we're waking up to a new consciousness. That's the fully integrated consciousness. I talked about Theseus and the Minotaur, right? You're coming out as kind of both, Maybe you're coming out as the Minotaur with a little tiny Theseus within you. Or if you're resonating with this channel, I think you're coming out as Theseus, but you fully integrated your own, monster, your own Minotaur, right? Whatever side you have chosen, this is kind of the empathic channel. This is the side for the Theseuses with the little Minotaur inside integrated. And that is the new consciousness. You're waking up to this. And since you're no longer fighting yourself, you're no longer trying to prove something in the outside world, you're no longer trying to compensate something, you can actually be that emperor. That's the Leo reading, right? So you are kind of Leo, the emperor, kind of, that's your energy. But never ever forget self-love, never ever forget joyful, humble, divine creation. Loving what you're doing seems to be much more important than proving a point and, you know, checking all the boxes that our society sometimes falsely claims to be successful. Was that a correct sentence? But you get the idea. You know, our society thinks, you know, you're successful if you know, since 2008, we're talking about the banking crisis. There were a lot of successful people who ruined entire countries with their successful banking stuff, right? But they were still considered really successful King of Pentacles guys. But they kind of sold their soul. So maybe you had something similar in your life in the last year since 2008. Now you're waking up to joyful creation. That's the overall topic in 2026, right? And that's beautiful. Archangel Michael, Blue Angel Oracle deck card that speaks about protection and a new beginning as well, right? Eternal love and protection. I'm always with you, and in this moment I embrace you with my protective blue light. I loved you before the dawn of time and will continue to love you forevermore. My love is eternal, it never changes, for we are timeless souls. Together we have journeyed through the ages. We have been the light of the sun, the grass of the fields. Millions of earth years have passed, and yet here we are. The same light still glows in your heart, and the same grass carpets the fields with green. You have lived countless lives, and I'm always with you, for I'm the sky above you and the endless love inside your heart. You know, there is a word, but I'm not trying to, I already overloaded this reading with concepts, so I don't want to add one more, but, you know, there's completion in the number one, and there's a beginning in the number one. So you learned something, and Wolf Spirit is basically telling you to turn your knowledge into wisdom. So live what you have learned. You've learned a lot in the last few years, probably since 2008. And now you just live that, but not suffering for it, but living with it, for it, through it. Nine of Cups, Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords, joyfully. You got everything you need. That's also emphasized here with 2 times the Page of Pentacles. 3 of Cups, there's so much support here, and you can really just go for it. Wherever the bird with no feet flew, she found trees with no limbs. Audre Lorde. And the form of evil is one-sidedness. So don't think that that approach of being able to be bossy, being able to, you know, structure things, that is not evil. Not one side of this is evil. Just the one-sidedness is evil. So you need a balance. You're not negating this Emperor, King of Pentacles stuff. You're not negating this organization and systemization. You're just integrating it, and you're a little more playful and joyful for it. And in the next 20 years, I think the focus is definitely on that Cups energy, Pluto in Aquarius. What do we get? Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, Søren Kierkegaard. Okay, for somebody out there that might be relevant. And Hannah Arendt. Those who choose the lesser evil forget very quickly that they have chosen evil. Those who choose the lesser evil forget very quickly that they have chosen evil. Hannah Arendt. You didn't You did choose love, self-respect, inner alignment with your inner core. You did not get eaten by your shadow. You chose joy and happiness and divine humble pride. And I'm happy for you. And check out the yearly reading, check out the summer reading, check out your sun, moon, rising reading if you like. And hopefully see you next time. Now, Budaya.